before that, I'd also like to welcome Robert Hawley. Robert currently works for a large injectable dose manufacturer located in the Northeast here in Pennsylvania. He's requested we don't mention his company name, so I won't. Mr. Hawley has over 14 years of experience with quality groups in current good manufacturing practice environments within the pharmaceutical, active pharmaceutical ingredient and vaccine industries. Over the course of his career, he's led testing teams, repaired analytical instrumentation, developed analytical methods, as well as investigated countless analytical method issues, testing issues, and product issues. Other companies Mr. Hawley has worked for include Warner Lambert, Merck, Lonza, Gaines Chemical, and Johnson Matthey. I hope I'm not messing up the pronunciation. He received his Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry from the University of Pittsburgh. And with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Hawley.
So I came here today to say a few words about how a pharmaceutical or an injectable dosage manufacturer might use the services of a company like Gateway Analytical. Currently, as has been said, I work for a large injectable dosage manufacturer. We have used forensic laboratory services in the past. Every company that I've worked for has in some capacity used forensic services. And okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So you can go to slide 2. At any rate, typically a facility such as this would be employed in the case of non-routine testing. Some of these testing needs would be like particle contamination or maybe batch uniformity. That would be a scale-up operation. And these kind of tests are typically not standard quality control. There's significant risk in not meeting these needs, though. Business impact, you could lose sales, you could have... go ahead, sorry. Which side are you guys on? Sorry. Doesn't matter. We could just can the presentation if you guys want. I'm okay with that. But at any rate, as I was saying, there is significant compliance risk in not meeting these testing needs. In the case of particle contamination, you have GMP requirements that you have to meet. If you have a batch with contamination, that's a compliance risk. And outside of the good manufacturing practices, you have potential loss of customers, slower startups for batch uniformity. At any rate, where Gateway comes in and other labs that offer pharmaceutical forensics, as David likes to call it, and I do as well, they offer increased capability. These are capabilities that most of your pharmaceutical companies simply don't have on site. As I've said before, the testing is non-routine. The technical expertise is simply not specific. Our technical expertise is simply not specific to those types of issues. This is the type of issue, however, that Dave and his team would see on a daily basis. So their expertise is very specific to that. As I've said, some of the examples of non-routine tests might include the trace analysis, contaminant characterization, batch size distribution, morphology, assistance with temporary projects, or technical consult. For trace analysis, forensic labs offer pharmaceutical forensics such as Gateway. We have a need for analysis, and they are the experts in this field. Depending on the need, the skill set required is usually that of a forensic scientist or highly experienced analytical chemist. These types of people are not found in a typical pharmaceutical QC setting. And as such, the cost and the time needed to purchase instrumentation and get the people that they would need to do this type of testing is simply prohibitive. In the case of a temporary project, in the event of increased analytical testing needs, temporary help is often hired. The problem with that is temporary help is often fresh out of college. That means you've got to train them. So you're a good 6 months to a year out from being able to use said temporary help, at which point contracts are starting to expire anyway, and budgets are starting to run out. Employing a contract lab is usually the more desirable situation because they have the experience in the non-routine testing, they're already trained, and they're very good with non-routine issues because that's all they do. That's all they do is solve non-routine issues. For instance, where you have a typical QC chemist who's HPLC background, he's very good with identifying a drug product, very good with characterizing its purity, impurities, but if you ask him what a fiber is in the drug product, he's not going to know where it's a fiber. That's all he's going to be able to tell you. For technical consults, you know, existing staff in a pharmaceutical company would have to, you know, if they have an issue, they have to research the issue. That's going to take hours upon hours. It's time and money, as opposed to having a contract lab like Gateway Analytical with the expertise in that field. Your problems are often solved in one phone call, because where you may have a unique need or a rare issue, it seems to be a rare issue for a lot of different companies. 10 different companies may have a similar issue, and although, you know, you're not going to know about that in, say, Warner Lambert, which is now Pfizer, you wouldn't know that 10 different companies have that issue. A forensic laboratory that does pharmaceutical forensics would, and they would be able to more quickly help you trace the problem. And so as such, an ongoing relationship with a company like Gateway is very, very beneficial. Sometimes a simple phone call saves us hours of research. So it was for that reason the benefits of involving a pharmaceutical forensic laboratory far outweigh the monetary costs. Monetary costs are usually very easily justified. And that's all I've got to say.